The auditorium was packed with hundreds of proud families who had come to celebrate the graduation of their children. I sat in the front row with my wife, Karen, waiting for my stepdaughter, Hannah, to walk across the stage. I had been part of her life for 10 years, paying her bills, covering her school trips, buying her books, and saving every cent for her future. Hannah was smart, ambitious, and talented, and I wanted her to have every opportunity in life. When the principal called her name, I felt pride swell in my chest as I watched her cross the stage in her cap and gown. Karen squeezed my hand and smiled with tears in her eyes. The crowd erupted in applause as Hannah accepted her diploma and turned to face the audience. Then came the moment when each graduate was given the microphone to say a few words of thanks. I leaned forward, expecting to finally hear my name after all the sacrifices I had made for her. Hannah smiled brightly and began to speak with confidence. She thanked her teachers, her classmates, and then she paused to thank the man who had always been there for her. My heart leapt for a moment because I thought she meant me. But then she turned her eyes toward the other side of the auditorium and said she wanted to thank her real dad. The crowd cheered loudly as her biological father stood up, waved, and blew her a kiss. My hands froze in mid-clap and slowly lowered into my lap. Karen clapped too, smiling proudly at the man who had been absent for most of Hannah's life. I felt invisible, sitting there as if none of my years of work, sacrifice, and care had ever existed. After the ceremony, we all gathered outside where families took pictures together. Hannah ran to her real dad and hugged him tightly while Karen snapped photos of them together. I stood a few feet away like an outsider at my own family's celebration. Not a single word of thanks came my way, and not one photo included me. But I remained calm because I knew something that none of them knew. For years I had been quietly saving money into a college fund for Hannah. $200,000 sat in a separate account, waiting for the day she would begin her college journey. I had imagined this moment differently. I thought she would be proud of me and grateful for my efforts. Instead, I was left in the shadows, watching another man take the credit. That night I went home and sat alone in my office, staring at the account details on the screen. The numbers glowed back at me, a reminder of the late nights, extra shifts, and sacrifices I had made. And in that quiet room, I made a decision that changed everything. The next morning, I called the bank and arranged to move the entire fund into a trust for Emily, my wife's niece. Emily was a hard-working girl with dreams of college, but her family could never afford the tuition. She worked long hours at a diner, studied late into the night, and never once complained about her struggles. When I told her about the fund, she broke down crying, unable to believe someone would help her this way. I explained that she had earned this chance through her character and determination. She promised she would make the most of it, and I believed her completely. When Karen found out weeks later, she was shocked and furious. She demanded to know why Hannah's fund had been given away, and I calmly reminded her that the account was mine alone. I told her that Hannah had chosen her real dad at graduation, and so my support would go to someone who truly valued it. Karen struggled to find words, while Hannah never spoke to me about the money. Perhaps she assumed it had never existed at all. Meanwhile, Emily enrolled in her dream college and sent me messages filled with gratitude. Every update, every thank you, every smile from her reminded me that I had made the right choice. At graduation they thanked real dad, but in the end I decided where real support belonged. And that decision gave me peace, dignity, and a sense of justice no applause could ever give.